Jason Rance of Seattle Red. He's been crushing it lately. Today's headline reads, Democrats' green ferry upgrade breaks down after 1 month. Commuters pay the price. We got a hybrid ferry, got a 30-year-old ferry that we've spent millions of dollars upgrading, and it breaks down after a month. And they're not really sure why. Listen to some of these answers on why did the ferry stop? Let's get into it. Here we go.
Wenatchee Ferry was docking here in Seattle's Coleman Dock. 2 of the 4 drive motors went offline briefly. State ferry officials stress that the problems are not linked to the fact that the ferry is hybrid electric, but rather because it was out of service for nearly 2 years.
Okay. But then you did a big fix-all on it, and you converted it, and now it's not working. So whether or not it was out of service for 2 years, that does not hold water to me. It does not hold, literally does not hold water, that explanation. It's like, you monkeyed around with something that was already working before. You had to rehook everything back up, and now it's not working. And this is completely unnecessary. Go back to the old diesel run ferries. They were fine. They were fine. You know what I mean? It's just like, you gotta monkey around with everything.
No matter how many
There's
times
Ferry.
you do it,
I grew up riding the ferry from a young age.
riding the ferry never gets old.
I love the ferries.
4.9 million people riding the Bainbridge Island Seattle ferry last year.
Yeah, this is our busiest route.
Over 22 months, engineers converting the Wenatchee ferry into a hybrid electric ferry.
Having this new element of sustainability, I guess, to be a part of the commute that I know so many people do is really exciting.
On July 24th, the Wenatchee ferry rejoined the fleet. But 1 month after setting sail across the Puget Sound,
The boat was approaching Coleman Dock. It temporarily experienced an issue.
Washington State ferry officials say 2 of the 4
Temporarily, when you hear of a drive line disengaging or whatever, got to remember, boats don't have brakes. So when you're talking about your ability to stop, you need to be able to put that bad boy in reverse. That gear shifter goes into reverse, and that's how you stop. So if you don't have any control, on all those videos you see, I had my ex-wife on my boat, along with my girlfriend. Somebody thought that was a good idea, my son. And I was explaining to her, hey, on a big boat, you don't have brakes. You've got thrust, meaning forward or reverse. And that's if you're going forward, you need to go backwards so you don't hit that dock. If you don't have that drive line engaged, boom! That's what most all those it's not because the ferry driver was drunk or the big boat, yacht driver was drunk. It's the power failure, mechanical failure, steering failure, something in the linkage, something in the throttle system, something goes down. Well, this one, I mean, who knows? Whether it's 2 years or because it's green now, you're monkeying with something that didn't need to be monkeyed with. And you did, and now you see the explanation from the guy who's like, oh, failure.
4 drive motors on the ferry went offline for a minute or so. When it turned back on, it sailed to Eagle Harbor on Bainbridge Island for crews to figure out what went wrong.
I want to be very clear. This is not directly related to it being hybrid. This is related to...
Yeah, it is. Was it working before? Did it do this before? No. And you're going to have mechanical failures. That's bottom line. But this one specifically happened a month after you did the whole retrofit. That didn't need to happen, but because we're such virtue signaling slaves here in Washington State. I was reading a story that if you eliminated all the cars in Washington State right now, eliminate every single vehicle, you know how much impact it would have on the emissions going into the, Earth's whatever? Almost none. Almost none. I mean, it's a tiny, tiny, tiny little percentage. So why are we doing this? Why are we monkeying around with this? Because we're virtue signaling. We feel better. We feel so much better. We're doing a good job for the environment. Look at us go. Never mind the fact that people can't get to work. Because the ferry system in Washington, nobody wants those jobs. And so the ferry system is notoriously unreliable. You got people commuting back and forth. We're talking about Bainbridge. This is the Bainbridge to downtown Seattle. A lot of people take that ferry. I've taken that ferry. I've taken the Wenatchee many, many, many times over the years. And it was diesel. It was fine. It didn't need to be hybrid. It didn't need to be electric. But that's what we're doing.
Having a boat out for 22 months and then commissioning it, getting back in service.
We're learning the control system communication has wires, creating intermittent instability, causing the drive motors to go offline.
We think it was that those signals caused the issue. And so now we're looking at those wires and how that signaling happens so we can repair it and get the boat back in service.
It's not clear when the Wenatchee will be back in service, but in the meantime, ferry riders say,
I give them a lot of room for, trying out new technologies. And I understand that, the hybrid one is in repairs again, but pioneering always takes a little time.
This is pioneering that doesn't need to be done, period. It just doesn't need to be done. It's completely unnecessary, wildly unnecessary. Let's read Jason Rance's. Shiny new hybrid electric retrofitted Wenatchee, converted from its old diesel chassis last July, flashed briefly across Puget Sound before going dark. Of course it did. While docking at Coleman Dock 2 weeks ago, 2 of its 4 drive motors suddenly tripped offline. Power flicked out. Thankfully, all passengers and vehicles disembarked safely, but the embarrassment, not so fortunately handled. Yeah. Democrats demanded upgrades to our ferries, insisting on shiny new green technology instead of reliable engines that actually work. Now, taxpayers are stuck with expensive vessels that can't even stay in service for a full month without breaking down. I have read multiple accounts where electric ferries they've been put in service, they weren't strong enough, they didn't have enough torque, they couldn't make it go. They got taken offline. They just basically got taken out of service. This is what happens when virtue signaling replaces competence. Political class pats itself on the back for saving the planet. While commuters miss work, families get stranded, and our transportation system crumbles. And you know what? The ferry, if you want to take the ferry, you're tossing those dice that it runs today, that all the ferries are running. Because a lot of times, they are not running. You don't have enough people to run the ferries. And, their schedule, they've got a planned schedule. There wasn't a 2:00 ferry. I guess I'll be there at like 5. A lot of that going on. Well, commuters miss work, families get stranded, and our transportation system crumbles. Ferry riders didn't ask for costly experiments. Well, but this is Washington. You got libtards everywhere that think, electric is better. Oh, yeah. They asked for boats that run. Instead, we got another progressive boondoggle proving failure is their only consistent delivery. Okay, all right. What I would say there is all things mechanical do fail, but this one we're going to point out because there is simply no need for our ferry system to go green because it doesn't really save the planet. None of this saves the planet. Again, you eliminate all cars right now in the state of Washington. It's just not going to have that much of an impact, period. But people don't want to talk about that. What they want to talk about is, I'm from Washington State, and we've got green hybrid electric ferries, and it's the greatest thing ever. We love living in Washington, and we're so progressive, and yeah, I can't ride the ferry today because it's not working, but, whatever. Washington's newly converted. Let's see what Fox has to say. It's built in 1998, former diesel ferry. Well, it's still diesel, right? It's a hybrid. Why is the Wenatchee a big deal? Conversion process brought the Wenatchee from a diesel ferry to a hybrid electric vessel. Took 22 months and $133 million. Oh, my word. Wenatchee is part of Washington State Ferry's aspiration to have a reliable and emission-free ferry fleet by 2050. What's the budget deficit? This is part of how you get there. You spend money on ridiculous nonsense like this. To get there, be expanding the fleet by converting 6 existing vessels to hybrid electric power. Okay, so they're not diesel at all. Building 16 new hybrid electric vessels. How about Washington State just went to Florida to get their ferries built? your electric ferries bill to Florida. Didn't even do it in state. And you're like, what's going on here? That makes no sense. No sense. Purpose of the program is to save fuel and reduce air pollution by spending how much, and then how big are those batteries? How big are those batteries? What is the impact of those batteries on the environment long term? Are you going to throw those in the landfill when you're done? Are you going to recycle them? Are you going to take them into Napa? Are you going to take them into O'Reilly's and recycle those batteries? I've got some big batteries for my boat. I think they weigh 80 pounds a pop. I mean, they are so heavy. I can pick them up. I can like deadlift them, but like curling them into the back of my truck, it is an effort. I mean, they are just heavy, right? And I think, all these batteries that we're creating, what are you going to do with those when they're done? They're just going to end up in a landfill somewhere, aren't they? Oh no, Sean, we're going to recycle them. Work to modernize the Wenatchee, including long-term upgrade to its aging propulsion. And it was completed in July of 2025. So in March 2025, WashDOT announced that the midlife upgrades and conversion work on the Tacoma and Puyallup will be delayed until after the 2026 World Cup. We got the World Cup coming into town. It's like LA having the Olympics come into town. Should work out fine. It'll be okay. But they can't monkey up the ferry schedule because they know they're going to have failures like this one. Failures that are completely unnecessary. What caused the ferry to lose power? All right, tripped offline. Okay, wires. There's something in me that just wants to say, hey, mechanical stuff stops working at times, and then you got to fix it. But we're going to hammer down on this one because it's completely unnecessary. You didn't need to go this route. Will the outage affect any travel plans? Oh, no. As they shifted everything around, we got the Walla Walla, got the Tacoma ferries. We'll continue to sail the route in the meantime. Great. All right. For years and years, I'm going to read this story here. For years and years, I rode the ferry as an appraiser. Got to go to these, Island County. Got to go to these areas where taking the ferry is the fastest thing. Back then, it used to be like $10. And, half an hour, it's pretty cool. You get a ride on a massive big boat, maybe go upstairs, get a snack, get a bowl of Ivar's clam chowder. They often have that on the ferries. That whole experience. But it's also like you've got an appointment at somebody's house on Bainbridge and you got to get there and damn ferry doesn't work. Well, it's because it's electric. It's green now. So you got to call somebody up and I'm going to be 2 hours late. And they got to pick up their kid from school. I can't do that. I can't change my schedule. Nightmare, right? So ferry schedule is super important. But, that's not what we're doing in Washington State. We're virtue signaling everything, which is annoying. Let's talk about something less annoying. Look at this article. This is from the Daily Wire. This is classic. Biceps in airplane mode, meaning they're not being used. Mondami crushed by 135 pounds in painful public defeat. So like a good socialist, someone else basically does all the work for him, and he celebrates like he did it himself. Yikes. Let's watch and see what happens. So in a bench press issue. In a hilarious incident in the annual Men's Day event in Brooklyn on Saturday, New York Democrat mayoral candidate, socialist candidate, Zoran Mamdani, tried to prove his manly prowess and was left looking like the helpless girl tied to the railroad tracks in old-time movies. Remember that? It was all sped up. They recorded it in regular and then they sped it up, and you got the piano in the background going. Mamdani, 33, apparently eager to show off his physical strength, attempted to bench press 135 pounds. So that's 45-pound bar and then 245 plates on either side and a couple of collars, 135 pounds. And to have a heavily muscled accomplice behind him help him complete the rep twice. He couldn't even lift it once. Now, how much does this dude weigh? Is he 150 pounds? If that, I don't know. Not trying to make excuses for him, but hey, let's watch. This is him trying to show off. And if you can't get 135 pounds up, you shouldn't be doing this stunt. You just shouldn't be doing this stunt.
Yeah! This is how you move up in the polls. Yeah.
This is not how you move up in the polls, because this is nonsense.
Yeah. Let's go, let's go, let's go, let's go, let's go. Yeah. Let me get three.
It's like his leg coming off. He's not doing anything. Oh, that's the best. Absolute best. And he gets off and he's like, oh, wow. Those were some reps. God, that was tough. That was some business there. That was some business. Check this out. This is funny. Following Mom Donnie's public humiliation, rival candidate and Mayor Eric Adams, 64, shared a video from the same place showing him doing repeated bench presses with the same weight, commenting on X, 64 versus 33. Lifetime of hard work versus a silver spoon. Oh, that's so funny. The results speak for themselves. The weight of the job is too heavy for Mom Scrawny. Oh, that is a great name, Mom Scrawny. The only thing he can lift is your taxes. Oh, Eric Adams, so funny. If Eric Adams wasn't corrupt or whatever he's got going on there, it seems like every single time you turn around, there's somebody in his administration that is getting hammered on. All right, here's Mayor Eric Adams versus Mom Scrawny. Let's watch.
Yeah. Let's go, let's go, let's go.
Adams doesn't need a spotter at all. He's fine, and he's not a huge dude either. He's not a big guy, but he's quite. He's double the age of this guy. He's literally double Mom Scrawny. So funny. That is so great. If you're not capable of benching 135, maybe you shouldn't do this stunt. That's probably a hard no-go for you. Just don't do it. It's easy to talk. It's hard to carry the burden. This guy can't bench his own weight, let alone carry the weight of leading the most important city in the world. You know, they're saying right now that the Democrat Party is comprised of weak men and not attractive women with blue hair that are wildly overweight. Weak men and the women that I just described. Mon Scramy, he falls right into that category. He's weak. He's weak. He's weak. Does that mean he's going to be a terrible leader? No, but the optics aren't good. Guy can't even bench 135. Not saying you have to be able to do that to rule a city the size of New York, America's biggest city. But I'd feel a little bit better if you could put it up once at age 33. I would. Gotta be honest. All right. We have diverged enough from electric ferries to bench pressing 135. That's all I'm going to say there. All right. That's it for me on this one. Thanks so much for being here. Love to have you subscribe, do all that good stuff. And I'll see you on the next one. Thanks again. Bye for now.